Many of you watching may know who this guy is because he's been a stalwart of the beverage industry for some time.
You're being kind.
Norm, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you? No rest for the weary. You're upstairs. You're downstairs. You're over there.
We're podcasting over there. We're here. I mean, it's a whirlwind, but we're enjoying it. You know, we prepared a long time for this, so now's the time to execute. Yeah. So speaking of execution, you guys have done a great job with Avitae. It's really grown over the last few years. Tell us a little bit about the company and your involvement, when you joined, and where you are right now.
Well, I joined in 2013. Actually, I started behind the scenes in 2012, evaluating the brand for the board.
Yep.
And I was highly skeptical when they first hired me to do this assignment. And every day that I got into it, I gravitated further and further from that point to the conclusion was, wow, this is something that's really special. Let's go do this.
Yes.
So
the caffeinated, and it's a caffeinated water. Is basically what you're selling. Yep.
Right. And it's basically we have three different strengths. So we call it our diet soda, our cup of coffee, and our energy drink. So it's really marketed towards healthier people that live active lifestyles that want to pick me up, but don't want all the baggage that comes with your choices of caffeinated products today.
Right. Yeah.
So what we did is, one brick at a time, one back our consumers, one back our retailers, slowly built it up. We expanded the non-carbonated line to add 125, and then flavors, and then we added the carbonation. Obviously, we would do a lot of samplings, and all my friends in the beverage business would laugh at me and say, why are you doing samplings? It's just water. And I said, precisely. So you listen to what your consumers say. The number one comment was, wow, it does taste just like water. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we wanted to get that point across. The next question was, do you have flavors? No, but we are going to make them. Guess what the next question was? Do you have carbonation?
Right.
And follow the trend. So if you really listen to your consumers, they'll lead you to where you need to be and where to go.
Yeah, honestly, I remember Avitae, from when I first started with BevNet, and it was just a still line that you had. And I felt like the sparkling line is something that I would drink, and I have been drinking it during the conference, and it's been great.
I have too.
Yeah, it's very helpful for folks like us who've been like getting up at 5 and we're here until 10 or whatever it is.
Well, what I always discover are new uses for this beverage.
Yeah.
This has become my road beverage. So when I travel, instead of stopping and get a cup of coffee, or I used to drink that the dirty word, the diet soda.
Yep.
But now I take this, and this is my little pick me up. Quenches my thirst. I feel good about it. It's a good, clean pick me up.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have all the other ingredients that can react differently in your system. So, and I don't have that crash. So it sort of lets you down nice and easy. Picks you up high and lets you down.
Well, one of the other interesting things that Avitae is it's a refreshment beverage that also has function.
Right.
It's 0 calorie. I mean, you're hitting so many trends just in this one product and this one brand. What are you really honing your marketing on? Is it 0 calories? Is it caffeine first? Is it then 0 calories? Is it bubbles next? I mean, where's the target market for you?
Well, I think caffeine is the lead. Obviously, you have to be a caffeine consumer to want this. If you don't cross that gate and threshold, none of the other attributes mean anything. So I think it's caffeine first. I'll say all natural, which is sort of all encompassing, but that seems to be a very popular trend. And then the list keeps getting better. Oh, no sugar? That's great. 0 calories? Oh, great. And then for the flavored versions, the taste, which, this has been talked about through these last 2 days about how if you consume less sugar, how your taste buds react differently. And I think all of our taste buds have come down. If I go back and drink a full sugar product and I just do it, and it just blows me away how strong it is. Yep. So with a little bit of flavoring in here, it really tastes great. And that's what people's expectations are. So they're not disappointed, but it's like, yes, we get that little bit of flavor and all the other stuff. So I think it's caffeine, and then it could vary, but that's obviously the key ingredient.
Do you guys have any marketing campaigns planned? I mean, I know Avitae is still, sort of a mid-sized company at this point, but are you trying to use marketing to sort of get to that next level? And if so, what are the next steps?
That's a great question. We're on the cusp of that. I mean, what we've been doing, all the things that you've had at the show, field marketing, we do that, and all those key points, that's what we're trying to hit on. A lot of digital stuff, and our board always complains and says, we don't see these things. Well, they're blind posts, they're directed towards our consumers, so you're not going to see it. So we're ramping up the digital. we've just introduced our e-commerce under www.goavitae.com.
I've heard of this e-commerce thing. It's also been talked about a little bit at the show.
Yeah. So all the things that you were talking about, we're like, yeah, we're doing it. So it's really interesting to hear different perspectives. But we're doing that, so we're building a database. We're growing, getting consumers' names so we can do more direct stuff. Ramping up the digital. Now we've really increased our field marketing. So that's gotten bigger and bigger. The nice thing with technology, particularly with the chains that have it, we're able to tap into their loyalty programs and build specific marketing programs around that. And then in certain markets, we'll start to do a little bit more. We're still in that exploratory phase, what's really the best bang for our buck.
Right.
But we're slowly ramping it up because we've kind of hit that natural sort of point where now we've got to do a little bit more. The push can only take you so far. We've got to develop that pull.
Right. As I mentioned at the outset, you've been involved in the beverage industry for some time.
Barry reminds me of that.
Barry Nathanson, the publisher of BevNet magazine. You've been involved in brands like Sobe and Adina. Clearly, the beverage industry has changed pretty dramatically over the last 20 years, even over the last 5 years. What have you seen as being the biggest motivator? What do you think has been the biggest reason that we've seen such change, and what's your take on it?
Well, I think probably the biggest change is the caliber of people that have entered this category. I mean, there's some really smart people. You hear that from the folks that are speaking.
Right.
So obviously, instead of you getting these guys that are tinkering in the garage, to really smart people that believe in something and have an idea, that clearly resonates and makes a difference. But I think the other thing is, I spent time also on the beer side. I really group like the craft beer category, and do we still call it the new age category?
No.
The non-CSD?
I think there is in some markets around the country. I did see a sign that said new age beverages. I'm like, what the heck is that? And there's like vitamin water.
See, that
and
shows you
like
how long I've been in the business. But I'll call the non-CSD the new technology that's out there.
Functional stuff.
Functional stuff. It's really pushing the limits. And what it is because the big guys can't do that.
Right.
They don't want to do it. I think they've recognized and said to themselves, we can't do it. And because of that, we've, as they buy more of these brands and sort of homogenize them, we keep pushing the boundaries. And you see that, and it's really interesting of all these new brands, what's driving them, how consumers respond. Yep. And I think it's a beverage arms race, but it's driven by passion, intellect, a need that hasn't been served, and the boundaries keep going out further and further. So it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. I ask this of everyone who's been in the beverage industry for a long time and been successful doing it like yourself. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you interested in coming back? Because you could probably get out of it and do something else if you want to.
Because it is fun. I mean, it's gotten more competitive, but it's gotten more fun.
Right.
You feel the vibe here. Look around the room. I mean,
for sure.
And all the friends that you've met over the years, and it's something that's second nature. It's like, I don't know. You say to a baseball player, "Are you going to retire and go to basketball?" Now I know Michael Jordan did that. Well, we're all not Michael Jordans.
Yep.
But it's fun to be part of, and you get an idea, and all of a sudden you find your competitive and your creative juices flowing, and it's hard to extract yourself. As I told Barry, I got into this business. They won't let me out, so I just keep showing up. And when somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, "Okay, it's time to go home," then I'll go home. But as long as you'll have me, I'll keep still showing up. Outstanding.
The brand is Avitae. The president and CEO is Norm Snyder. Thanks so much for being with me. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
All right.